Let's do it.
It's going to be a good idea. People
Hello.
won't get sick of it.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to Slimy Sundays. I am Erin from the Slimeonade stand, and this week we are talking about all things creativity. And who better to come on board here as our guest host than one of the most creative Slimers I know, and one of my good friends, Miss Brenden from SlimeJellies. Hey, Brenden.
Hello. Hi. Hey.
Welcome.
Glad
How
to
are
be
you?
here. I'm good. I'm well.
We also have, obviously, Miss Alyssa J, crafty slime creator on Instagram. Hey, girl.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited for this episode. I've been dying to talk about creativity.
Woo.
So let's start by, she really doesn't need too much of an introduction. If you are a Slimer on Instagram, you obviously probably know SlimeJellies and her iconic rainbow bagel slime. But Brenden, tell us a little bit about yourself, girl.
I am an adult woman who just kind of rolled into the slime world by accident. I kept seeing slime videos on my explore page. I feel like everyone did. So I feel like I didn't find slime. Slime found me. And I just thought it was cool and I wanted to do it. And it reminded me of GAC from when I was younger. So I went and bought the ingredients and made it. And it was fun. And then I kept making it. And then I made an account that kind of lay dormant for a few months. And then I just started making it regularly. And it spiraled into what it is now. It was pretty basic, pretty easy story.
So from what I've heard, you and recently you slime right away. You had kind of a slime as art account, right?
I had an account where I wasn't selling because I was just doing it for fun. It was like a hobby. So I had it and then I ended up like growing followers just organically. And then once I hit 100K, I was like, I'm going to start selling it.
Awesome. And you really haven't looked back. You've created a slime that is pretty much recognizable by anybody who likes slime on Instagram. Rainbow Bagel is, as I mentioned before, it's an iconic, super creative and unique slime. We're going to get into that a little bit more later. Alyssa is here. She is also excited to talk about creativity today. So without further ado, we're going to launch into our first topic, which is what defines a creative slime account. And in talking with my two co-hosts before this slime show started today, we were kind of talking like, is creativity something that you can create, so to speak? Is it something you can make yourself have, or is it something you're born with? Is there a set formula for creativity, or is it honestly something that you just have? Guys, what do you think? Starting with you, Alyssa, do you think creativity is something you're just born with, or can you obtain it in some way?
I definitely think that everybody has a little bit of creativity in them in some sense. Like some people aren't necessarily creative with art and slime, but they're creative in other aspects of their life. And if I feel like if you set your mind to anything you want to do, you can always achieve that. That's like my mindset. If whatever I want to do, if I try hard enough and I put enough time and effort into it, I can achieve that. And so my mindset for slime is that if you want to be creative, like just keep on making slime and keep on trying new things until it works and you are creating new ideas. Like I never considered myself a creative person, but I feel like through slime I have expressed myself creatively, and I might not do it in the same way as you guys are creative, but everybody's creative in their own sense. I know that's kind of like confusing, but to me, that's how I think of it. What about you, Brenden?
I think that I got lucky. I had two parents who were very art driven. Both of them were like photographers at one point, and one of them, taught art. And I think that I just ended up being creative because of them. It's something that I have just always kind of gotten lucky with, but I don't know. For me, I think it's more of a you either have it or you don't.
I think personally that creativity is a very subjective thing. It can be different for everyone. I think we all follow different slime accounts for different reasons. I would love us for each one of us to talk about like what we look for when we follow a slime account. And I think that can kind of help the people that are listening today better understand like how unique creativity can be. For instance, I'm really loving Slime Bananas right now. I'm loving her account. I think it's really unique because she's doing things that I'm not seeing in other people's feeds. I really like watching her like take apart chapsticks and candles and mix them up. I really like her jewelry. I think it's cool to listen to her nails tap on the table. Some people hate that. I like the way it sounds. I like watching and seeing what the final product is. I don't believe she sells her slime. That doesn't really matter to me. I just like watching it.
She did at one point.
Yeah, you know, so like I don't necessarily follow an account because I want to buy their slime. I do it for the reason I originally got into slime, which is to relax. Exactly. What about you guys? What do you look for when you follow an account?
Oh, go ahead, Brenden.
No, go ahead, do it.
When I follow an account, generally I'm looking for what I want to be creating myself, and that inspires me to be making more slime. I don't want to be following an account where I'm seeing the exact same thing every time with a different color or a different. I want to be seeing something unique and different that I don't see on everybody else's account, and something that's inspiring me. Because, you know, I can only follow so many people without my feed just without me not being able to interact with people. Like, I just want to keep the people I'm following to a small number. So every single person I'm following, I'm commenting and liking and really creating a genuine relationship there. And creativity. And when I look for an account to follow, it's somebody who I like their slime. Their videos are satisfying to me. Whatever you think is satisfying, it varies for everybody. And that they have a nice personality, and there's someone who I would genuinely like to talk to. So that's how I decide.
Mm-hmm. Brenden?
I follow people for 100 different reasons. I mean, it'll either be something that's aesthetically pleasing and I want to see it because it's pretty. It'll be something that sounds cool. It'll be out of obligation because they followed me. It'll be, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I don't just follow people based on if I think they're creative.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I see in the chat some people, Pop Slimes follows Mona Lisa Slime for food slime videos, and
I love her account.
Yes, definitely. She was our first Slimer shout out, I believe, and like, if you're doing something different like that, that really makes you stand out. And you don't have to be as creative as Mona Lisa Slime is, you know, but just do something different that you aren't seeing other people do.
Yeah, I mean, that's important for me to note. I think, you know, I mentioned Slime Bananas, but I also follow Popular Slime because I like the way her videos sound, you know, and they're very, doesn't have a crazy backdrop, doesn't make, you know, they're mostly butter slimes, doesn't have crazy nails or anything like that. I just like her audio. It stands out to me. It sounds nice. So to me, that's what stands out about her account and why I like it and what's creative about it. So it's a very, very subjective thing. It is not a set formula. Moving on to the next topic. Would you guys say there are any no-nos? I hate that word. No-nos. Are there any like absolute do not do it as far as creativity? I mean, for me, my answer is no. I don't think there are any no-nos. But what about you guys? Is there anything that's like, oh God, don't do that as far as creativity?
In terms of creativity and having a slime account in general, I think that sometimes hopping on the bandwagon of certain like trends isn't always the best, because you should focus on what makes your account stand out. So if you are, for example, Popular Slimes and her videos are so satisfying in the sounds, you're not going to just randomly, if something became a trend that was unrelated to that, you won't hop onto that just to get views for your account. Like, you have to maintain that integrity of, this is what I'm about and this is what I want to be posting. So yeah, what about you, Brenden?
I think that I don't remember the question. So
is there anything you shouldn't do? And I see people in the chat are weighing in, which, you know, these are things I didn't even think about, but like, let's see, Aniston's. Oh, thank you, Aniston. She likes the way my slimes sound because they sound like bubble wrap. Thank you. Sasha, Crafted by Sasha, says, don't ever do something offensive. Aniston says, there are no no-nos. Lena says,
I think
go
if
ahead,
you're going to
Brenden.
post something, you have to kind of stand behind it. And if you're thinking it's a good idea, then that's good. But it's also true that just because it's different, it doesn't make it good.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Like,
right.
you can be different and it can be bad still. So
Yeah.
I mean,
you want to be creative, but you also want to edit yourself in a way where you think people will actually enjoy it.
Right. There's the whole territory of, you know, putting AirPods in slime. I love Talisa. I thought that was cool, but
that was definitely
predict we're going to see some shock value stuff, right?
That was definitely a shock value thing, obviously. And they were like bootleg AirPods from Wish, so it wasn't a thing. It wasn't like a big deal. It was
Seeing
just
the
like,
comments,
oh, that's
pretty hilarious.
Shocking to see, and people were upset.
They were very upset, and that was hilarious. Very entertaining.
Right.
Pop Slime says, "Don't copy others." You know, we'll get into that a little bit later. There's a lot to be said about that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about feeds in general. Is there a strategy? Do you all follow a strategy for your feeds when you're planning out your posts? This is actually something I really don't. If you look at mine, it's pretty chaotic. It doesn't really follow any kind of a pattern, and that's the way I like it. I like it to kind of resemble me, colorful, kind of disorganized, and a little bit messy. And you know, that's just the way it looks. But then honestly, when I go to someone's feed, I always find it kind of cool if they've got it planned out like in a rainbow, or it's got some kind of picture they've made. Or do you guys do that? And why?
I don't do it. I do think it's cool when you see it and it has like a whole rainbow effect, but at the same time, like if I'm following somebody, I'm not going to their page. I'm watching their videos on my feed. So if somebody's doing that, they're doing it for themselves, not for any other like if you want to do that, sure, do it. Make it, you know, I feel like that was a big thing a couple years ago. People were like, "Oh, I have to do 3 of the same slime in the row," or had like really specific criteria for their page, but no one's looking at your page. And if you post 3 of the same type of video, people are going to see the first one, they're going to like it, and then they're going to see the second one and be like, oh, it's the same thing. They're not going to stick around to watch it. And then they're going to see the third one and just be like, goodbye, and you know, scroll through it. So you're not as successful posting videos if you're posting like 3 of the same thing in a row.
Mm-hmm. I have tried everything under the sun for my feed. I've done the row of 3. I've varied it every single time. I've tried a bunch of different things, and honestly, right now I've just settled on posting what I want to post. And I don't know if that's the most effective method of having your feed. I do think it can be beneficial if your feed looks cohesive for when people find your account for the first time. I think that's important because if you like, for example, Erin, your feed is, you might not curate it to look a certain way, but it is cohesive because you use the same background. You have you have the similar lighting in all of yours, and you have things that make it cohesive in a sense. Like,
yeah, as long as there's a constant.
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
Constant. Yeah. So, but I say try out an experiment. I think experimenting is the best way to find out for yourself what works for you. And you know, maybe if you want to be different, try posting a mixture of photos and videos, or just try different things and see what works for you. Yeah.
I agree. And just to add, one thing I will say is if someone reaches out and says, "Hey, check out my feed," if I'm just going to be blatantly honest, because if I lied, that wouldn't suit anybody. But if somebody says, "Hey, check out my feed," and I go check out their feed and it's not aesthetically pleasing to me and it doesn't look like something I want to look at, I won't follow them. And that's the truth. You know, if it looks messy, or it's the pictures are blurry, or, you know, and I hate to sound like I'm being critical, and you guys know me, I'm like, oh, I'm so nice and I can't say anything mean. That's the truth. If it doesn't look like something I want to look at to relax, I won't look at it. I won't follow it.
Truth. I mean, I feel like that's the whole point of this chat.
It's the truth.
To figure out ways to kind of improve that and make it so that people want to look at the things that you're posting.
Definitely. This is more like the slime like 201 type of things. Like we've talked about like the basics of slime, and now we're kind of getting into more experimenting, trying different things, and what actually is working on a deeper level, I guess you could say, in slime.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the few times I have opened up reviews and I've looked at a person's, that's really the only time I look at someone's feed is if they ask me to follow them, which please don't do that. Or if I'm checking out someone's feed for a review purpose, that's really the only time I like click on someone's page to see. And you know, if it's like slime on it, like a weird busy background, or it has bad lighting, or it doesn't look professional, that is something, all things I take into account. So if you're looking to grow,
weird, though, is I feel like I follow a lot of accounts overseas in Asia, and they don't care about a lot of things. There'll be noises in the background, people, you know, you'll hear like yelling, or they'll just, you know, I don't know. And those accounts are still really fun for me to watch because of the way that they play with slime, or the fact that they have like this tiny little container of clear slime that they're just poking. And it reminds me of when I started watching the videos in the first place and being like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I
feel
agree
like
about the Asian
rules
account.
vary based on how I'm feeling at the time.
Totally subjective.
Yes, and
so
it also
the answer is a non-answer, really.
Yeah.
We're going to close out this topic of defining a clear. I'm stuck on clear slimes. We're going to close out the topic of what defines a creative account, but I wanted to take a follower question that came through one of our accounts, and this is from Only Unicorn Slime. Her question was, I love her too. She asked, I feel like slime as art, quote unquote, is not that popular these days compared to other slime trends. What are y'all's opinions on that? Go ahead, guys. Anybody jump in. Slime as art.
I mean,
like having an account where it's just for art's sake.
Anything can be an art medium if you are making art with it. And I think that she does definitely often, and she's really good at it. And I guess it isn't going to get you as many views as a clickbait video. That's true.
I mean, it's the truth. And although you could argue that people like Sarah, Only Unicorn Slime, and people like Nikki, Mona Lisa Slimes, they are creating slime for art. And I'm sure they have videos that go viral and get, you know, hundreds of thousands of views because it takes a lot of time and
they're
effort.
doing it in very different ways too. Like I feel like Sarah's are very, very intricate, and they look like little pictures. They're really, really cool. And she does, you know, the stop motion stuff. I think that she's an incredibly creative, like, human being. And Mona Lisa, her name's Nikki, she is too. And they're both like extra creative and completely different from one another.
And I definitely think that, in all honesty, their accounts have a lot more longevity in the sense that you can scroll back through, and I'm interested in every single video that I see. In some of the accounts, like even my account, sometimes I'm like, why would people want to scroll back and watch these? They're just, some of them are the same thing over and over, right? So when they have those creative slimes like that, I feel like they may not get views like right away, but over the long term, people scroll through more often, and they get those views in the long term, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
Quick question I want to take from Aniston. Hi, Aniston. She's my pal. She runs the review account, or the restock account for me. And her mom recently made her go private. Because she had a few creepy people following her. What are you guys' thoughts on going private? I mean, I know as a mom, I don't have an issue with it. I think you may have some problems gaining tons and tons of followers simply because you're private. But if you don't have an issue with that, I don't think it's a problem. Guys, what do you think?
I mean, for growth, it definitely hinders you. But if you're doing it for safety reasons, then you have to do it.
Mhm.
You do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It'll be harder to grow if you're a private account because people don't know what you're posting and they can't see, so they don't know why they're following your account. So it can be a bit difficult in that sense. But if you're like, if you comment on a lot of their posts and you're really engaged, people will want to follow to get to know you better, and that's what the point of all of this is, anyways, right?
Mm-hmm. And Aniston, I know a lot of younger account owners have their parents manage their account. So you might want to talk to your mom about doing that as well and just see what her thoughts are.
Yeah.
True.
All right.
Great.
So shall we move on, Alyssa, to the next topic?
Dr. J is in the chat. Hello.
Dr. J is in the heezy.
Speaking of creative.
Yes, definitely a very, very creative count. So our next topic is actually finding inspiration and bursting out of a creative rut. So this topic was actually inspired by some follower questions that we got. So from Slime Masubi, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, where do you find inspiration for your creative slimes? So if either of you want to take that, where do you find your inspiration from?
Everywhere. I mean, the other day I was taking pictures of the menu at the boba place because I was like, oh, that would make a good slime. I've taken, I think like a lot of food and drinks are things that people seem to be really interested in when turned into like a slime form. So any kind of interesting food I see or drinks or things like that, they make good slime ideas, and I'll like snap a photo or write it down. I have like a notes section full of stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, it's important to me to, we'll get into this a little bit later, but it's important to me that my slimes are really unique to me and that I don't ever enter into a territory where it's like, hey, you did that same thing so-and-so did. You're always going to fall into that. That's going to happen. We watch all the same stuff. We're all inspired by the same thing every day. We'll talk about this later. But I draw it from everything. Fat Laces, the slime I put out about 3 or 4 months ago, was inspired by a hip hop documentary I watched with Mr. Slimeonade. And they were talking about shoelaces that, Run DMC didn't wear shoelaces. And, the Beastie Boys did. And the Beastie Boys had fat laces on their shoes. And we were just watching it. And I was like, oh, I could do a slime on that. Yeah. And so I wrote it down. I put them all in my phone, in my notes app. And if I'm ever feeling like I'm in a rut, I reference that list. And I may not know exactly what the slime's going to be, but if I just put the note down, it can help sometimes spur creativity. Alyssa, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, since I'm not really making slime to sell, I don't really think of names for slimes and different slimes specifically, but in terms of inspiration for videos, I definitely like walking through the dollar store. Sometimes I'll just see an item and be like totally like lightning struck. I'm inspired to go make this video. And that's mainly like the main thing for me is just seeing things out there and like watching TV shows. And like I'm inspired to make a Flash slime because I've been watching The Flash. Anybody else? Comment what you're watching right now on I would love to hear because I just love talking about TV shows. But getting back to it.
I feel like the TV shows I watch are not appropriate for slime.
Same.
Yeah, so definitely I'm just inspired by the media, by going to Michael's and the dollar store and seeing different things. And of course, all of your accounts I'm inspired by. Brenden, your slimes are so amazing. Rainbow Bagel. Wow. Yes, all of your slimes, and same with you, Erin. And just looking at other people's accounts is really inspirational to me. Yeah, so let's move on to the next question, and it's from downtime_slime, and it's how do you get through times where you're not feeling so creative? So when you're in a creative rut.
Yeah, I started to talk about this with you guys before we broadcast, and I thought I would just stop talking about it and save it for here. Some of you guys know, but a lot of you don't know this, that my day job is I create and sell TV shows to TV networks. That's my career. And so my job would sometimes be literally on the line if I couldn't come up with ideas for TV shows. And so sometimes, right. So sometimes I'd be sitting there like, oh my gosh, I woke up this morning, I have kind of a headache. I don't feel creative. I feel kind of gross. It's raining. I don't want to drive to work, but I have to come up with the next hit TV show. And that's a lot of pressure. And so in a lot of ways, it's kind of the same way with slime, only to a much lesser degree. But because I'm my own boss, I can't fire myself. But
have you ever been inspired by pressure, like being under the gun sparks creativity?
Yes. That's what I'm getting to. Like, I would sit and say, okay, I'm going to sit and stare at whatever, get online, go to a website and read an article and challenge myself to come up with one inspiring thing from the article I just read. And that would be a game I would play with myself when I worked in television. So whatever the article was about, come up with one inspiring idea, write it down, walk out of the room, and basically come up with some other ideas based on that. And that's what I do with slime too. When I can't come up with ideas, I challenge myself to come up with one creative idea based on this water bottle. What could I do about this water bottle? And everybody's already done a clear slime. So maybe I could do like an idea based on this weird snail that's on here. And he's got these like little round eyes and, you know, and so like,
snail slime is so hot right now.
It's so hot. I'm going to make it a thing.
Let's do it, guys.
I mean, I could get on brainstorming chains for hours, but I used to lead meetings with my team where we would start with one word, snail eyes, and one person would have to go and basically come with, okay, so snail eyes, what would you do with snail eyes? Well, I would, you know, and so we'd go around the room and we'd come up with an idea. And at the end of the meeting, we'd have a TV show idea, and it might be completely whack, but we had something to tell our boss at the meeting. So that's what I do with slime too. Same thing. Anyway, it's weird, but that's how I come up with my ideas when
it's good. I feel like brainstorming is crucial to having good ideas. Sometimes it'll hit you, and sometimes you genuinely have to think about it. I think that giving yourself parameters sometimes can help foster creativity too. I think that some of the slimes that I've been most excited to make have been within like the parameters of a theme. When you have like limitless options, you're like, what do I do? But if you're like, be creative, but also it has to be Valentine's Day themed, that makes it easier to think of ideas.
Definitely. And just listening to Brenden talk, I mean, Brenden is one of my friends within the slime community. And I don't think it's not okay to share your ideas with one of your friends that you trust and say, I'm struggling. I know I want to do a snail eyes slime, but, you know, Crafty Slime Creator already did a snail eyes slime. And can you help me? And, you know, a good friend is going to help you come up with an idea too. It's okay to share and talk.
That's what I'm going to start calling AirPods. They're just snail eyes. These aren't AirPods. These are snail eyes. It's different.
Snail eyes, right? How they do. So yeah, like I highly recommend brainstorming with a friend as well.
I agree. That is definitely helpful. That's I feel like I do that with a few people a lot.
Yep, and when I'm not feeling creative, like these Slimy Sunday episodes really, like after I talk with you guys, I'm like, I have so many ideas and I just want to go film slime, but then I have to go do my homework, which sucks. But like, you know, yeah. And so I like talking to other people in the slime community and just remembering why you got into this and why you're making videos, I think is really great and really inspires me to go sit and film some more, because, you know, I don't necessarily make new slime ideas. Like I have to think of like a different slime to sell because I don't sell my slime, but thinking of video ideas in that sense, like just talking to other people and hearing what they're doing. And it just really inspires me to get going and do my thing.
Well, there's a huge difference between making a slime that you think is creative that you're going to sell for profit and then one that you're going to post a video on.
Definitely. Yep.
Because when I first started making slime, I wasn't selling it and I felt more creative, truthfully. But then now when I am making slimes and I think of ideas for a slime that a person's going to buy, I'm like, oh, it's a good idea, but they're totally different.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and the last show we did with Rainbow Playmaker, we were talking about beating the algorithm and growing your account. This week we're talking about creativity. And I think those two are constantly fighting each other.
They are. It's difficult to blend one and the other, and sometimes like you have to pick which thing is more important to you.
Yes.
Yep. Like when I was selling slime, I found that it was sucking all my creativity away, and I wasn't making creative videos anymore. And that was definitely not why I got into this. So I stopped selling my slime, and that's a decision I had to make. And like, I feel like it's totally like, if you want to do both, that's great. But for me, it just wasn't working out, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I stopped selling my slime so I could just make my creative videos. And that is what worked for me. I'm not saying it'll work for everybody, but that's an option as well.
I mean, no, that's like a constant struggle that I have. Like, what the two things that I enjoy most about slime are creating fun videos, which I haven't done as much recently, versus making slime. And if you're busy, like trying to, keep a business afloat. And my roommate just walked down the hall and gave me a weird, funny face. When you're trying to, run a business and create content that you think people will want, it's difficult. It's not easy, because they're both time consuming and they're both different ends of the spectrum.
Yep, and to totally interrupt here in the comments, I see a great idea from Coupons and Makeup. It's snail mix. Make it look like and smell like trail mix, and comes with a snail charm. I think, Erin, you should really hop on that one.
Yeah, it's trail mix, but with a snail.
Yep.
Coupons and Makeup, I think you should take that and make it into a slime. You're welcome. I'm here to help you all with your ideas. So I was just going to say, like, I struggle with the videos, showcasing the slimes I'm selling and making cool videos. Like, I don't like the way my videos look when I'm just playing with a plain old slime on a table. I think it looks just meh. But I need to do that to show off what my slimes look like. Hi, Logan. And those videos don't get as many views, but people want to see them because they want to see what my slimes look like. And honestly, like, it's almost pushed me to the point where I want to do a review page where I can repost everyone's videos of my slimes, so I can just focus on doing creative videos. And I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but it's something I think about.
Yeah, definitely. And I see from Borax Buddy Slimes, they said creativity is one of the things that got us into slime in the first place. Plain slime is what a blank canvas is to an artist. And I definitely agree with that. Yes, it's great.
You guys are super creative and very clever. I think that's really one of Borax Buddy's strong suits. They're always on top of like what's happening in pop culture. And they're good at making like very clever names for things.
Yes.
There have been times where I'm like, oh man, I wanted to do that. And they like had already done it, made it, and filmed it. And I was like, good on them, because that's awesome.
Your baby shark slime, Sharon and Lauren, I was like, oh man, I wanted to do that. You guys are great. Your ideas are so awesome. Like, you guys define creativity totally. I love your account so much.
And also, so slime names. So, everybody you guys make such great slime names, and I'm so curious, what goes into naming slimes for you guys? How do you come up with your names that are really unique and fun?
For me, I just really love puns, and my friends do too. So that helps. I'm already like good at naming. Oh, I can't hear anything right now. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I started watching the video and forget it. Just don't even worry about it. I was like, it's not what's happening. And then I realized it's like a 10-second delay. I like puns, and so I've always used them in names if I could, but I don't always. It's not like something that's absolutely necessary, but if it works out, it works out. Sometimes I'll name something with a pun, and sometimes I'll have such a good pun that I'm like, I need to make a slime based on this pun.
Yeah. I am not as good a punny person, but I don't know, a lot of my slime names are kind of nonsensical, and I do that on purpose just to make sure there aren't any other slimes named that, like
I've done that before.
Just like a weird made up name, like Japana Banana. Like there's no Japana. And I was like, are Japanese people gonna be mad about this? Hopefully not. It's an homage to Japan, but you know what I'm saying? Like I make up words, and like a couple of months ago, somebody on the Explore page was like, WTF with your names. These are all nonsense words. And I was like, you're welcome. Because, you know, like, it's just, they're weird. You know, I'm not going to call it like, I don't want to offend anybody. Like, yeah, I'm not going to call it like cupcake or whatever. It's got to be unique for me. For me, that's what I personally like, you know.
I agree. I feel like that's what I did with a slime that I have called Mom, Can I Have a Quarter? Because that's what I did when I wanted bubble gum at the store. And then,
exactly.
And then you like see names pop up. There was a little girl who made one that was like, this one's called Dad, Can I Have a Soda? It's not related to Slime Jellies Mom, Can I Have a Quarter? I was not inspired by that. I was like, it's fine, but it's so specific that it's ridiculous.
I see a comment in the chat that says I show slime to my sisters and then we come up with a couple names and combine them, and that's a really great idea, to collaborate with your friends and just spitball ideas until you think of one. Everybody comment in the chat how you guys come up with your creative slime names. We would love to hear. And but we'll move on to the next question, which is for Brenden, and it's, how do you come up with ideas for your videos, and what equipment do you use? Everybody else, we talked about this in our last couple episodes. We've mentioned this, so if you want to check those out. But Brenden, what do you do?
To come up with ideas for videos, I don't make as many exciting videos anymore, and that was what we were just talking about earlier. I wish that I had more time to make cooler videos, because I don't. And oftentimes it'll be like, what do I have laying around? What can I make? Or it'll be something that I'm selling that needs to get filmed because people need to see it. And so that's something that I struggle with right now. And I wish that I had a better answer than I see what's around me and throw something together. Unless I have like a really specific idea, which sometimes happens. But then it's one of those things where like I see it in my head and then I make it, and it's like expectation versus reality, and it looks really pretty in my head, and then I make it and I'm like, oh, this is garbage. So we're gonna have to do something different. And my filming setup is laughable. I have one of those gooseneck phone holders, so if I move it a little, it does this. And it clamps onto my table, like my dining room table, and then I have like a flat piece of board from IKEA that was like $5 in white, and I just film on that. I'm looking to get better lighting because I don't like mine. So.
Great. Yeah, I totally couldn't. Like, your videos are so creative to me whenever I watch them. Even the videos of your products, I'm always like, they're so satisfying. Like, it might not be creative in the it might not be creative in the sense that it's a totally new and unique video, but it's creative in like, I love the way you play with slime just by itself. So I like that. But definitely I felt that when I had my shop and was trying to create creative videos, I felt that my feed was just being taken over by all of the slimes that I wanted to sell. And I didn't really like that for me. So I just switched to just making my videos, and I batch film my videos. So I film like a ton one day, and then I wait like 2 weeks, and then I'll film more. And in those 2 weeks, I find that I'm just writing down a bunch of videos on my phone. I'm just typing, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I wait. I don't force myself to film. I wait until I'm like, oh my gosh, if I don't film, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing right now. Like, I need to be filming. And I feel like having that drive to want to do it, and having that like feeling of, I just really want to create videos, is so, so important. Because if you're just doing it to film videos for the sake of filming videos, that comes across, right? Yeah. So we can move on to the next question, is so tips and tricks for getting out of a creative rut. So we talked about that a little bit, but are there any like little things you guys can think of that are just quick, easy? I know it's not really easy to get out of a creative rut, but quick fixes that can help you on that journey to find that passion again when you're feeling like slime isn't working for you right now.
One thing I didn't mention earlier, as a place I get my inspiration, is scents. I have a lot of scents.
True.
I know you love scents too, Brenden. I have a ton. It's a problem how much money I spend on scents.
Same.
I would say probably 80% of my slimes are inspired by scents. So that's almost always where I get the inspiration from. sometimes when I come up with an idea based on something that's not scent related, I'll be like, oh my gosh, what the heck do I scent this thing? Because they're always inspired by scent, right?
That happens to me too. Oh, hey, buddy.
Oh, Fonzie's there.
There's the Fonz.
It's a fun.
Yeah, I feel like scent is a huge inspiration for sure.
Yep. And we were talking about OG, Korean slime accounts. I love watching those accounts. They're so cutting edge. Slime is a huge industry in Asia. They're doing stuff that we'll be doing in like 3 or 4 months. Sometimes when I watch one of these accounts and I see that an American Slimer liked the video, I'm like, ooh, they discovered them too. Like, oh no. I don't want to say I get a lot of ideas from them, but the way they play with slime, like they'll be doing things that I'll start seeing people do, like the way they pop bubbles or the way, I dig deep as far as inspiration. And so sometimes I'll just go looking for, accounts I've never heard of, even if they have 400 followers.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, it's cool. I'll get ideas for ingredients, that kind of stuff. It's cool.
Definitely, yes. And now for the question that we have all been waiting for. I've been so curious, and it's from Nerdy Slimes Official on Instagram, and I'm sure a couple people in the chat have asked this as well. But Brenden, we would love to know, how did you come up with Rainbow Bagel?
It was a couple things. There was a bread craze, and I wanted to make a bread slime too, because it was something that people were doing. And because I buy a ton of scents, I had bread scents with me. But basically, I had made, a couple months before that, I made a slime called Fantasy Fluff. And I've seen a lot of rainbow slimes and like multicolored slimes that are really pretty when you get them, and then they mix into brown. And a lot of people make them and they're like, oh, it's so beautiful, it's a rainbow. And then again, it mixes to brown, and then it smells like cherries, but it's brown. Well, bread is brown. So I was like, perfect, I can make something that will mix. So I made this one called Fantasy Fluff, and it was a butter slime that was multicolored, and it mixed to brown, and it was sent out like a cookie or something. But it was a butter slime, so when it shipped, it mixed in transit, so half of it was already brown when it got there, and I was like, no. So I needed to find a way to like change that to make it so that it didn't mix. And I was like, how do you get colors to not mix? Okay, you can make cloud slime, which I'm terrible at. So I was like, no, that was not going to work. And then I was like, why don't I just mix the clay? The clay is going to sit there. So that's what I did. I mixed the clay to, be how it is. And then I was like, what bread is rainbow colored? And I was like, oh, I'll think of something. And then I was watching, I think, a Netflix show about Airbnbs and how people were trying to elevate their Airbnbs to the next level. And these people lived in Brooklyn, and they were like, oh, have something local from your neighborhood, like these rainbow bagels. And I was like, that's such a good idea. So that's how it happened.
Yes, that
comes from everywhere.
Yeah, that is like, inspiration. It's not just like a 1 second thing. It built from different things that, like, first you tried that first slime and it didn't work out, and then like it's a bunch of different things that came together to make Rainbow Bagel. So like,
oh yeah, like if you look at my feed, you're gonna see like a few slimes that like led me to the point of Rainbow Bagel. Like there's the one, and then there's like another one, and I was like trying out different colors that mixed to that color, because a rainbow does not make a bagel. Like you have to rely on like color balancing things, because if I put like too dark of a blue, then it's going to turn blue,
right? Yeah,
instead of brown.
Yes, Rainbow Bagel is one iconic slime. I agree with Borax Buddy Slimes in the chat. Definitely agree. Do we want to move on to the third topic, Erin?
Yes. Oh yeah, we've got 15 minutes left in this show, and we have a major topic to discuss here, guys. So talking about Rainbow Bagel, it's such an iconic slime. I think it's probably the slime of 2018. I'm going to boldly say that.
Definitely. I would agree with that.
Bold, but I'll agree. No.
I mean,
I agree with it. So,
well, if you must say that.
You've also kind of coined this term, Brenden, DIY clay slime. I see a lot of DIY clay slimes out there.
It's a do-it-yourself clay because it doesn't
That's right.
start out as a clay
You
slime.
mix it yourself.
To one on your own.
You do it yourself.
You do it yourself.
That's right. So let's talk about it because I've seen a lot of people borrowing this idea. Let's talk about borrowing ideas from other Slimers, guys. Is it ever okay to copy? And let's talk about the many different ways you can copy. You can be inspired by someone. You can you can copy something exactly. You can be inspired by it. Let's go down this rabbit hole because this is a really hot topic in our community, and I think it's worth talking about. I think it's worth all of us talking about it in the chat. I think we could do a whole show about it. Is it ever okay to rip off another Slimer? I'm just going to use that term, rip it off. I've seen some Rainbow Bagel dupes out there that are not crediting SlimeJellies. I mean, is this okay?
Even if you weren't, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it because if your inspiration is coming from something that is completely outside of what someone else is doing, then I don't think that someone deserves a credit. Like, I remember Nicolette and I happened to have made Reese's Pieces on the same day. And people were like, you copied her. I didn't. It's a candy I like. It was a stroke of luck that we both made it on the same day. But I don't think that if you're deriving inspiration from a really, really common item, that you need to credit another person for making it.
Yes. I mean, there was a day several months ago that Rainbow Playmaker and I posted a slime, and I believe Peachy BBs too. We all posted a slime with fake grapes in it on the same day. And
you want to know something funny about that?
You were going to do it too?
No. Someone, I think, I don't
Amanda.
know to say who it was.
Amanda.
Okay.
Amanda contacted me. That's my story, is that we all posted it on the same day. And then later that night, Amanda contacted me and said, I don't want you to think I was copying you. I was going to do it too. And it was like, look, the reason we all posted it is because all the craft stores have fake grapes in their displays right now. It's fall, you know, like I guarantee you, we all walked into this place to buy our slime supplies. We all saw fake grapes and we all thought, cool, that would look awesome in slime. We all have a batch of clear slime. We all think these fake grapes look cool. Or, you know, at some point or another, we walked into a store and saw these and decided it would be cool. Am I mad about it? Heck no. Do you need to give me an inspo credit? No way. And that's what I told her. And I said, oh my gosh, you don't even need to contact me about this. So there's that kind of thing. And then there's something completely different.
That kind of thing I feel like happens more often than not. But then you see people that are like, you copied my Rice Krispies. Rice Krispies are everywhere.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Or cookies or whatever thing that people are, like, you copied my Blizzard. That's not a real thing to be upset about someone copying you for, because they're not copying you.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, talking earlier about where we draw inspiration from, we draw inspiration from the foods we eat. I went to McDonald's and got an Oreo Blizzard, so I'm going to make an Oreo Blizzard slime. You know, I would say many people go to you know, McDonald's and get an Oreo McFlurry. You know, you can't claim
you can't
intellectual property
I know
theft.
someone who already has an Oreo Blizzard slime, and that's fine. And then I know someone who has a McFlurry slime, and that's fine because it's a thing that exists in the world and it's common. Yeah.
So now that we've established that, let's talk about when it's actually not okay. And I'm going to reference back to my career in television. Like I understand intellectual property and I understand copyright. It's something that I understand really well and I'm very sensitive to it. It's something that none of us are really protected by here in the slime community, and I wish we were. When is it not okay to copy someone 100% and make a profit off of someone's idea? Anyone want to weigh in? Anyone want to jump in?
I think that someone else go first.
So I never really have this problem anymore because I don't make slime to sell, so I don't have to. I don't think about well, I obviously, with my videos, I think of if I saw a video on the explore page or if I saw a video from another account and it's the same style, if I was inspired by them, I will clearly mention that in my caption in the type of video that I'm filming. But as for this specific question, I'm not really in the part of the community in where I have to think about, am I selling a slime that's too similar to someone else's, and was I inspired by them, or like I don't have that. I don't really have that for this part of the conversation. But in terms of videos and being inspired by others for videos, it's hard to trace back to who created it first, because like sometimes you don't know. And I think that's all right if you credit who you saw doing it. And I think that's fair. But I always try to go as far back as I can, trace the trail of inspired by whoever they were inspired by, go to them. And I try to do that as much as I can whenever I am inspired by people. But in the end, I think it's really important that you're just giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, when you're, go ahead, Brenden.
I have a good example of when it's too far. Teresa has a slime called Prefix Bath. It's a cloud slime and it's layered 4 different colors and it's scented a certain way and it has glitter on top and a little bubble charm. Someone made a Prefix Bath slime that looks exactly like hers. Prefix Bath is like a word in a book, and in that book they don't describe it like that. So she created that like on her own. She like imagined it to be the way that it was, and then someone made it exactly like the thing that she made. Called it the same thing, or something very similar. That to me feels like an obvious copy. Like you didn't have to make it look like that because she like dreamed that up in her brain.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Like that's a situation where I'm like, you're copying a person and that's tacky.
The Slime Hive talked about this on her story last night. And she said something similar to you, Brenden, like, I think it's rude. You said, I think it's tacky. I'm going to take it a step further. I may not be well liked for saying this, but I think it's wrong. And I think it's, if you're using it to make money, I think it's theft.
I think that it's weird because like, I tell people not to be bothered by people, you know, making things that are things that they've made. And I set like weird criteria for it. And until Rainbow Bagel, like people have copied my stuff and I haven't cared. But that's the one where I'm like, you're taking an idea that's so specific that like wouldn't have existed. And I don't think that somebody wouldn't have thought of putting clay on the bottom and on the top of something to make it look like a sandwich. I don't think that that wouldn't have happened, but it hadn't yet. So when all these things pop up and they're the exact same thing, I'm like, you have to know that like you wouldn't have done that if you hadn't seen this thing already.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect example. It's someone's interpretation of something that is not what necessarily the book says it is. The book says it's something completely different. And again, I'm not condemning anyone in particular. I'm not trying to start any sort of like tea party here, guys. I'm just letting you know that like there are the right ways and the wrong ways to go about doing this. Sometimes inspo credits are not enough. Sometimes it's just enough to go, you know, this is probably not a good idea. I should probably come up with something on my own. I really want to do a slime that's like Rainbow Bagel, but because someone has already done one like that, I should probably come up with something else. And that's when you get into your brainstorming party where you take your bottle of water and you look at it and you come up with something completely different that's just as cool. And, you know, like,
that's how I feel too. If somebody's making something that's like wildly successful, like I wouldn't make a pot pie slime because that would be stupid because it's already so successful made by someone else. It's a great idea and it's very cool, but like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, now it's off limits. I mean, if you're going to make something, do it. I can't stop somebody from like recreating something that I've made, but like be better, do something else that's your idea.
Like with if you're inspired by like the pot pie slime, maybe decide to make a savory slime, or like it doesn't have to be it doesn't, you don't make the exact same pot pie slime. Make something that's different, that's savory, that you're
then you're like in a difference where you're like, I'm gonna change it just enough to make it like a thing that I'm gonna do, and so now it's, you know, something else, but it's still the same thing. It's so close in the same vein that you're like, come on.
Yeah, I think you can take yourself down the same creative thinking path that, you know, and Sharon and Lauren, if you're still on here, we're just going to use you as an example. But I'm going to take myself down the same creative thinking path that Sharon and Lauren might have gone down. And they thought to themselves, what kind of slime can I make that's inspired by a cool food? And you can leave it at that, guys. Take it and then make it your own. Don't make a pot pie slime. Don't make a rainbow bagel slime. Take it and make it your own. Take it and if for some reason you make a slime by mistake that is, you know, did you guys lose me? It looks like I'm not showing up on the other post here.
You're not.
You guys still see, you guys don't see me anymore?
Am I
gone? Oh, boo. Well, we'll figure it out.
We can still hear you. But
you can still hear me?
Yeah.
I'm at 10% battery life, by the way. I don't know if that matters.
All right, we'll wrap it up soon. But to close out this topic, guys, if you make a duplicate slime of someone else's really popular slime by mistake, it's a mistake. It happens.
Oh, I think she's frozen. Is she? Oh.
Or later. Am I gone?
You were gone. You're back. Now you're gone.
Somehow got back.
Now you're back.
Okay. What I was saying was it's bound to happen that you come up with the same idea as somebody else by mistake. It happens. It's happened to all of us. You know, that's okay. Nobody's condemning you for that. But if you intentionally copy someone else, I would just suggest you to stop and try to make it your own. Put your own spin on it. Take it in another direction, and you might be that next iconic Slimer.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't expound enough on this topic because I, again, have like such mixed feelings about it, because there are some people who have made like a slime that they've done, and I'm becoming like immune to the people that were recreating like different versions of Rainbow Bagel, and I just have to be okay with it because that's what it is. But I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying. I feel like people should think of better ideas for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, there's another whole area of this we could talk about. I mean, you know, there's people like Slime OG and Fluttershy slimes. I mean, Fluttershy created Cloud Slime.
No, she didn't.
OG created.
She didn't create Cloud Slime. Someone else made it before her. She just called it Cloud Slime. That's how it happened. But there were other accounts that made like what they called Kinetic Slime, which was the same exact thing.
Okay. But you see what I'm saying though? Like, created textures that are now mainstream, right? Do we have to credit them every single time we make that slime?
No, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I get that. I mean, yeah,
you know,
if you had to create and credit Christine every time you made a butter slime, that would be ridiculous.
Right. So, I don't know. It might be a time to have Christine on the show and ask her what she thinks. I don't know.
Heck yeah.
Christine, if you're watching. All right, guys, we are really running out of time. I know we have so much to cover. Again, this is another topic we could literally spend an entire hour talking about. Do you guys have anything else you want to add about this?
Somebody just asked how I feel about Slimeyland Shop's Bagels spinoff, and I think that it's too close for comfort, but I can't stop somebody from making something if they feel like that's going to be something that they do. If they want to make a DIY clay slime, I would suggest they do something different than what I've already done. But if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And again, I've like talked to people about it before that have done things that I thought were like too close, especially in like someone with a considerable follower count. Like if you're a peer, I feel like it's weird that you're making something that I've already made that's already been established, but there's wiggle room, and it's whatever. If somebody feels comfortable doing it, then okay.
Your honesty is pretty awesome, and it's rare to find.
Yes.
All right. About reposts, I don't think there's enough time to do that. We'll get into that at another time. Yeah. Let's do our Slimer shout out, guys. today I want to give some recognition to somebody I've already talked about today. It is Only Unicorn Slimes, Sarah. We chose her today because she's completely one of the most talented artists I know in the slime community. Her posts give me, they give me life. They are so wonderful. She, honestly, for me, defines creativity. She makes totally unique clay and slime creations. A lot of them are based on Harry Potter characters, super cool.
Have you seen the piano she made and then played on the slime piano, the Harry Potter
is so
song?
Cool. Oh my goodness.
So cute.
No, I did. I was going to mention the one she did that pokes fun at the Instagram algorithm. That one was amazing. I loved it. So good. And I really enjoy her new handmade charm account. It's another huge showcase of her huge amount of creativity. So I think she just really defines underrated. I think you guys should definitely take a look at her account. It's only.unicorn.slime. And that's our shout out for this week. We really, really enjoy her. Yeah. And I wanted to say thank you so much for Brenden for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. This has been such an interesting episode, chock full of great information that has been so interesting for me to hear, because it's not really, I don't think about it, inspiration in terms of making and selling slime anymore. So this was such an interesting topic to listen and participate in.
Thanks, Alyssa. Always love to do this with you. And you guys, thanks again for joining us. We so appreciate all of your comments in the live chat. We can't really do this without your input and your questions and your feedback. So thank you. Join us in 2 weeks. We'll be back on Alyssa J's channel for episode 6. Can't really wait to reveal our topic. It's a really good one that you guys will all want to hear. And our surprise guest host will be revealing that really soon too. Hope everyone has an awesome Sunday, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.